I was once asked to do something I thought was impossible. Nearly every company that I work with has a user base that looks something like this. They have their set of active users, and they have a large number of inactive users. Sometimes it's 10 times as many, sometimes it's 100 times as many inactive users. In part, it's because of how long a company's been active. So if you've been around for 10 years, you have a lot of people that you brought in and registered for your product. People activated have become active users, and the rest have gone in this inactive bucket. And when some of these active users, that call it 30% now, half of them probably over the years move down into the inactive user bucket. So when this company I was working with asked me, hey, we have a bunch of these inactive users, we want to get them active. My first response was, you can't, it's impossible. I've seen many companies try, they would send emails, hey, come back. And I stepped back though, and I said, let me think about it. I happened to be reading a book at the time, Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. Now, this is a pretty well-known book in the marketing industry. Copies are pretty hard to find. And he goes through something I'm going to go through today, because I stepped back and I said, what if we change what most people do and how they approach marketing to these inactive users? Here's the playbook most marketing teams run. They pitch features, they ask for the sale, and they pray. And when it doesn't work, they shrug and they move on. Now, the reality is maybe they don't move on, they just keep pitching features. Hey, a new feature, hey, a new feature, hey, a new feature. I'll show you an example in a second. But that's not how buyers work. If you don't convert them, you don't stop. You got to walk them all the way back. Say, hey, from unaware to problem aware to solution aware to product aware, and then they become a buyer. So the way that I've thought about this, the heuristic I've used is, if you had 12 months where you said, hey, look, they're not going to buy until 12 months from now, but they'll listen to every single thing that you tell them. What would you tell them? How would you approach that? Where are they at mentally? What are they thinking about? What process are they going through right now? And what should I tell them? What should I convey to them that actually might make them care about the features themselves? So this is the idea. Okay. You now then can compress it into 6 weeks, and then you sell through them. So let me give you an example. I got this email recently. Let's see if I can make this, there we go, clear. Hey, what if you could instantly find the exact keywords your competitors rank for, but your site doesn't? With our new keyword gap feature in this product, don't want to call out names, they're a smaller company, you can easily spot these missed opportunities and take action to grow your organic traffic. There's a bunch of reasons I never used it, but what they know is that I didn't use it, that I never used it. And there are really two reasons people haven't converted. Either the product wasn't good enough, I say I, but it's realistically anyone, or I'm not convinced the thing you do is important enough to care about. And everyone tries to solve number one. Hey, we're good enough. We're promised we're good enough. And nobody tries to solve number two. And that's what I want to talk with you about today. How do you solve number two? So here's another example. I signed up for HubSpot. Haven't done anything in it. There is nothing created. I don't think I've created a form. I don't know if I definitely haven't created a landing page. Just basically an account. I think I clicked the form button. Okay. Hey, Joseph, your forms and landing pages are working, but here's what you can't see. Right now, someone might be deciding whether to contact you, browsing your services page, reading about your section, checking your pricing, and you have no idea they exist. Imagine if you could see which companies visited your site, when they came back. And now what's interesting about this is they're doing a lot better than this other one at really trying to expose the problem, but then they're jumping in really fast and trying to sell. That might be the right thing for them. They have a big brand name out, but we'll talk through why it might not be and how to think about it. And so if you imagine 3 years later, what you're probably going to see is the exact same emails. And people just keep sending them. Hey, here's our new feature. Here's our new feature. Here's our new feature. What he goes through is that people are in this unaware stage. That's the first spot. So what are they unaware of? They're unaware that they have a problem. So they're definitely unaware that a solution exists. So the most kind of famous example that you'll hear in all the marketing books is Listerine. Way back in the day, I don't know, 1800s, 1900s, I have no idea what century. But at some point, they didn't care about their breath. Hey, my breath is fine. It is what it is. Listerine, if you believe the whole story, invented a disease called halitosis. And they started running advertisements. Ew, so gross. I can't believe this person's mouth smells like this. They must have a disease. And now everyone said, oh, I don't want to have a disease. Because when other people met them, they say, ooh, I think you're sick. You got this halitosis thing. And when people found out about that, what's the one way you can solve it? Even today, it kills 99.9% of germs that cause bad breath. And so you'll see that even today, their positioning is you have this disease, these germs, and we are the way to solve it. Their first step, though, was to make you aware that there was a problem that exists. In my world, a really relevant one that I think about is a lot of people see their problems in their business as getting enough leads. They want more leads. But as we talked about up here, you have a lot of leads sometimes, and you're losing them. They're just disappearing. You spend money to acquire these users. So I think about, hey, what do I need to do to convince you that your effectiveness of converting people is a problem? Number one, and stop there. I need to convince you that it's a problem. Okay, what's the next stage? Once you are aware that a problem exists, you say, hey, I have bad breath, or users are not signing up, they're not activating. You're in this other stage that I think gets missed a lot, which is you view your problem as unsolvable. So everyone's heard this halitosis story, but is there a similar story where you thought that halitosis was a thing, a problem, and you never fixed it? So there's a wide range of things here. You could think about something like weight loss. Maybe people say, hey, I've tried 100 different things. I'm aware that being unhealthy is a problem, but I can't solve it. It's unsolvable. Or going here, right? You may say, hey, I get that I'm losing a lot of leads and that's a problem, but it can't be solved. That's just a fact of life. People don't register and sign up at really crazy high rates. You're going to lose 90% of them. Unsolvable. And so what you have to do here is then you have to convey to people that it actually is solvable. And there's a lot of different ways that you can think about doing this, right? What you'll see people do here without knowing it is case studies or testimonials. Hey, look, this person, they had your problem. They really did. And when they used our solution, they solved it. Now, what you're trying to do is make them aware that it's the best solution out there. And there may be times to use your case studies and testimonials for that. But the other thing you're doing by sharing real stories in particular is saying, hey, look, real people can solve this. This is a solvable problem. Other things you might do is to show people kind of the technology behind it. So you might see something like back in the day when we trusted the elites and the authority. You don't see this as much, but you might say Stanford PhD recommends this one thing to improve your health. And now you'll say, okay, if an expert recommends it, it must work. Or you'll say, hey, look, this was harvested from some special plant that has these properties. And what you're doing is you're saying, hey, look, this can be solvable. We can truly solve your problem. But I think these two tend to work really well in letting you know that they're solvable. or just getting the message out that it's solvable. So now, once they're solution aware, what you have to do is make them aware of you. Okay. So again, a lot of people miss these things. And let me actually take a second to talk about this. So if you're unaware that a problem exists and someone says, hey, you should, in fact, let's just go up here. You should try our keyword gap analysis. The message totally misses. Why? Why do I need a keyword gap analysis? I don't care. I don't even have a website, or nobody buys from my website. It's just there because all the local plumbers that I know have a website, but what's it doing? I don't really care about showing up in more places and being seen more often. Totally misses. And so you need to speak to people where they're at. So when they're now aware that a solution exists to their problem, what that means is they're probably out shopping. Should I buy this one or that one? So what you'll see a lot here are competitor pages. Why our, in SEO. So why our thing is better than X. And what you're trying to do is saying, hey, I know that people have this problem. They're aware that a solution exists, and they might even have a brand name to think about how they go get it. You know, why Tide is better than Clorox for cleaning. And so as these people come in, you're saying, we really can solve your problem better. So you can take some of these same sort of approaches, but what you might say is, instead of Stanford PhD recommends this one thing, you'll say, hey, Stanford PhD recommends this product 8 out of 10 times compared to competitors. Hey, now we want you to know that you can solve it. This is the thing you should do to improve your health. And if you want to do it, this is what the Stanford PhD recommends. So what's a real thing? Like, you can do this for anything. So Stanford PhD recommends going to, let's do this. Stanford PhD recommends doing heavy weightlifting 3x per week, 8 out of 10 times compared to running outside. You can see the premise here is, hey, I understand that exercising is the solution to being unhealthy, but which product should I buy? Okay. Now, again, there's layers to this that you could think about, because, hey, maybe you actually want to pitch them on exercising not being the thing that they should do to be healthier, and they should get Ozempic, or they should actually just start meditating or something a lot more because it's a mental health thing that's preventing them from going to the gym or something. I don't know. You can see how this headline shifts from Stanford PhD recommends this one thing to improve your health to Stanford PhD recommends this heavy weightlifting, or probably not this. Doing it live, coming up with this on the spot. I think it's more authentic. You guys can really see how it's done. Stanford PhD recommends heavy weightlifting 3x per week, 8 out of 10 times compared to running outside. You would improve that. Once you get to product aware, they're aware of you. They're aware that weightlifting is the right thing to do, or they're aware that cleaning with Tide is much better. You just have to give them an excuse to buy your product. So sales work really well here. Hey, try Tide, 10% off today, or first month free just for today, something like that. Ways to just get them. You can imagine they're all there, they're ready, they're like, yeah, I get this is a problem, I get I should be going to the gym, but how do I just do it? And you say, hey, look, I'll be a personal trainer and I will get you to the gym for free for the first month. No questions asked, you can check after. So that's really what you're doing here. Features can help too, which is, hey, I know you're better. I know that you're an option to solving for this. And now you can say, here, solve it. What's really interesting to me, and just then they become a buyer, almost everybody I think believes that their buyer is right here because they've signed up for most software services, and that's how you have their email. So almost everybody in software is, okay, hey, my product is right here. They signed up. They obviously know that I solve this problem. Like they showed up at my gym. They started working out. So totally they're clear on everything. So let's talk about the actual email and how you solve this here, because that'll tell you why I disagree. The thing you want to do is you want to welcome them, and then you want to do a hard sell, because there's 100% a portion of people, as we've seen, that are going to become these active users. And you don't want to miss out on these. You want to sell them. Hey, you're here. You're ready. You're aware of everything. Go buy. We're the best. Okay. But then what happens is some people don't convert. And this is why we're talking here, right? So it's not about why your email funnel is broken today. So what I thought it might be fun to do, and we'll try this, is to just go, I'm on Product Hunt. This is Product Hunt today. Let's go grab Sidekick. I have no idea what this is. Hopefully they have a website. Okay. So Sidekick AI, lovable for automation, builds Zapier style automations using only chat interface, AI connectors, configures logic, and AI adds connectors, configures logic, and handles errors. Okay, where are we at? So if you look at this, why the problem is real and it exists. What is the problem? Okay. What is the problem? Let's riff on this. So they think that building a Zapier integration is too complex. Zapier flow. Problem is their Zapier style. So maybe it's there are things cannot connect to. There are things I cannot connect to Zapier. And this is all off the premise that Zapier is known. And I don't think that's the best version, because that's getting too far ahead. This might even be further down into the solution. Because what you might want to say is you really want to touch on automating. How a lack of automation is costing you X per, call it X million dollars per month. Why not automating your X is causing confusion at work or in your company. And what's this last one? Let's go with something like why you're getting beat by competitors doing X manually. What we will explore here and refine what I want to get to you is you want to convey to them that the problem is really real. And so there's two types of problems they might be thinking about from their customers. One is, hey, the problem really is that you can't automate stuff that you think should be automated. But honestly, there's probably a real problem that people just aren't automating what they should be automating. So what you'll see is people will come in. If it works, if it resonates on Zapier, they're like, I'm sold. But there's going to be a group of people who are signing up for this product, joinsidekick.com, who aren't automating anything. Hey, that's really cool. I can do it with chat. I should totally do it. And I'm good. Bye. What do I care about? And so that's what you're trying to solve. And you have to be clear on what it is and try. And you'll have to test and you might have to iterate, because really maybe to start out with, you're just going to all these people that are using Zapier but really frustrated, and that's really what the problem is. And they don't realize that Zapier is a problem. So let's say it is Zapier. What you might want to say is, how the drag and drop interface Zapier is causing you to lose critical data. Okay. Just trying to convey to you how to think about what this problem is. This is an email sequence, right? So you're coming in, you get the welcome email, they sign up, and you can do this in product. as well. But the premise of why we're doing it, oh man, I hate this grid thing. The premise of why we're doing it in email is they're not in the product. And let me bring this all the way back to this original ask, because you can start sending this exact same sequence to all of your inactive users once this is built. So you should send it to your current users, but something very similar. So you imagine somebody signed up for your product 6 months ago. You can keep saying, hey, we launched this new feature. Or you can say, hey, did you know that the drag and drop interface of Zapier actually causes companies to lose X amount? Or, how this loophole in drag and drop interfaces cost this company X million. Maybe loophole's the wrong word. How this bug. Okay. Headline is not there to be copywritten or anything like that, but just to convey to you the message you're trying to show to someone in these emails. So you say to them, hey, this is the problem. It's real and it exists. And you should think about it. And I usually like having 3 emails on this flow. So you come in, welcome to Sidekick, sign up today and you get 30% off, or just sign up now, you can buy today, here are the top features. You can do 2 emails here, by the way. I think that's usually pretty helpful, pretty sufficient. So in total, they've gotten 3 emails in this initial flow. This probably is the first sort of 3 to 5 days. Then you kick over here. So why the problem is real, why it exists. So why it can be solved. And I'm coming back to these things we just wrote. I'm just going to put them up here. And what you're really going to do is you're going to say, hey, let's a deep dive on the innovations in LLMs, how X company used it to Y. And what you're trying to do here is actually share with them that the technology of LLMs is really good. You're trying to build trust of LLMs. You don't have to sell your product. So this one isn't, why Sidekick solved LLMs or anything like that. This is, look, we want you to understand that there's this technology shift that's happened and it's made this part really easy. So it could be something here. People are one-shotting full apps on full websites with LLMs. And you give a story about this. You're getting them in this headspace of, oh, wow, this AI stuff is really good. And then there's probably this third one where you do bring it to your product. People are one-shotting full websites with LLMs. And then you'll say how X person created a full automation in 5 minutes. Okay. Oh, wait, you're telling me that I can solve it that easily? And what we're not doing here is this consistent thread. And that is what you want to do. So if you're saying that the problem, we can even just do it here. Okay, so problem, Zapier takes too much time. Then you're saying automation can be done faster. And then we get here. And then hopefully that's helpful. So you want to choose one angle or a couple that is really focused. So Zapier takes too much time, or it's not possible. So problem X, automation cannot be done by Y person today. So maybe it's marketers can't use Zapier today because it's too complex. No offense to marketers. But if you say, hey, okay, solution automation can be done faster. Now automation can be done easily by marketers. So now the emails all support this one idea. But what you really can do now is you can say, look, we've just convinced you of everything. We've convinced you this is a real problem. We've convinced you that it can be solved. Once you decide that you want a solution, you don't need to shop around. Like, we're the ones that told you this whole story. So you're ready to buy. So you just want to be there and available for them to buy. You can build an email flow around this if you want, but I combine these two. And what I do then is now you jump into features. So how we solve for X, how you can try our product risk-free, whether that's a trial or a discount or money back guarantee or any of these things. You can even say, join a webinar, YouTube video to see how it works. So you have all these great sort of pitches that you can now make, which is roughly similar to what you've been doing before with the features, but they're now in this mindset of, I want the solution. I'm aware of you guys because you're the one that taught me about this problem and that it can be solved, and I'm good to go. So this is why Listerine's been so successful, is because they're the ones that taught people that bad breath was a problem. So why are you going to go to someone else who didn't even know that it was a problem trying to compete? You don't actually have to talk about your product in any of these first steps. You can talk about your product, but what you really want to optimize for is to read your email. It needs to be interesting. People need to care because you need them to come on board and say, wow, this is a problem. And so I don't want to reveal any confidential numbers for this company, so kept their name out of the video. And I will just say, when we did this, we saw a huge increase in users coming back and using the product, visible across all the charts. It was by far the most successful time I've ever tried this. I went and brought it to most of the other companies that I've been helping. And more importantly, we then, this was to inactive users, brought this to the email flow, shipped a new email flow with this mindset. And they brought on a couple other marketing consultants later on who were convinced that they could outdo this email welcome onboarding flow and continue to run A/B test against this and never could actually beat. And the most important thing, which is people using your product and paying you money as a business. And so that's important. So what I want to emphasize is this is getting people to pay you money. Buy your product, use your feature. So it sounds like maybe a little wiffle waffly, like kumbaya, teach them about the problem, but they're not going to buy a product for which they don't think a problem exists. So anyways, hopefully the video has been helpful. Comment below if there's any questions, and thank you.